Okay, we're going to go on to the business of getting through this economic trouble. As we know, right across the country, businesses are feeling the strain from coronavirus. Now, the government has announced tax relief for businesses impacted by the virus. Many retailers, though, the tax relief's not worth much if they can't survive, and cash flow is one of the big issues hitting them hard, particularly shops, retail shops, bars and restaurants. Russell Zimmerman is the Executive Director of the Australian Retailers Association. He joins me now from Sydney. Russell Zimmerman, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I have your members front of mind in a public policy sense. The really big businesses usually have the cash reserves to get through these sorts of troubles. We know most small to medium-sized businesses, of which that's half the economy in Australia, they can be only a couple of months away from trouble. It's been a tough summer. We've had bushfires, obviously, pretty high rents in city areas, and if they haven't got the foot traffic, and we pay high wages in this country, it's a pretty tough time.
Yes, Peter, it certainly is a very tough time. We had a survey of our members, which we closed about a week ago, and those members told us that, 70% of those members said that they felt that they would go through a cash flow crisis through the time of the coronavirus. Now, that's not to say they're going through it now, but certainly some of them are. And certainly to your point about the very high rents, we know that retailers can pay up to 25% of their turnover in rent. So it becomes quite onerous on them. And if you're a small business, you're a mum and dad operator, it can be very, very tough out there when you're paying those kind of rents and expecting to get that to the landlord by the 7th day of the month.
Right, I'll get to rental holidays and some of, I think, the public policy responses in just a moment. As I've been getting around, going in and out of businesses, and I asked one last night, what's been the impact of this? The restaurant I was at last night had a drop in bookings by about 80%. He's got real issues with keeping on his casual staff. He has his casual staff that are not rostered on ringing up saying, I don't want to sit at home, I'm worried about everything, can I come in and help? And they're turning up to work even though they don't have to. They've got a lot of concern, and he said this is, you know, amongst other businesses in his area, this is a widespread issue. How tough is it out there for your members?
Well, look, we've had the last 2 months' retail figures in, and neither December nor January were particularly good. And for a lot of retailers that have through the eastern states of Australia, they've been through bushfires, they've been through a drought before that, and then they've been through some flooding as well. So you know, some of these retailers have really felt the knock-on effect of these other issues, and now they're seeing an issue that's not of their own doing. They can't do anything about it, and they know that customers are not coming through the doors. I've had quite a number of retailers ring me. Look, I've been in this job for 11 years, and I have never taken as many calls through the association as we have over the last few days about how should I handle this? What do I do? What can I do with my staff? How do I get past this? Cash flow issues, banking issues. How do we manage this?
All right, we know that there's a stimulus package at $17 billion, but it requires people to be confident enough to get out there and spend. It'll be legislated next week. What else do you think you need?
Well, look, Peter, it's very hard to say what we need because we know the government is looking at this on a day-by-day basis. Quite frankly, the stimulus package has gone directly to the right people, those most in need, and now I'm talking about consumers. When you look at retail businesses, we know that there's a package coming back to them, and my understanding of this package is that they will look at the last 12 months pay-as-you-go earnings tax that the retailers paid, and they can look forward to roughly 50% of that being in there waiting for them when they pay their next lot of tax. Now, these are great things. This is great. But unfortunately, I don't know that this is going, and on the basis that this virus is likely to be around for quite a while, I'm not sure whether that package on its own is going to be enough. Now, we do know the government is looking at this on a day-by-day basis, and I'm sure that they will come forward with other packages as they see fit.
Well, we know, I just touched on this with Andrew Clennell, in New South Wales there's been payroll tax relief. Yep. Now that will obviously impact larger retailers. Interestingly, I gave Telstra a bit of a bouquet at the top of the show because they're giving people unlimited broadband regardless of their plan if they're a Telstra customer, a business as well as households between now and the end of April. So, you know, there are big businesses responding to look after other businesses. I got something in my inbox today from Westfield, but it was completely focused on getting consumers to walk into a Westfield shopping centre and listing all the precautions they're taking. Nothing there to say they're doing their best for the retail businesses inside those shopping centres, which I know are finding rents hard. Why wouldn't a Westfield or any of those other big conglomerates or indeed the banks be giving people interest rate holidays for a period on their loans? And why wouldn't Westfield forgive rental payments for at least a month or two till we see where we are in the middle of this crisis?
Well, firstly, Peter, can I say to you that we've spoken to the Shopping Centre Council. We are trying to broker a meeting. What we would like to do is to have some of the retailers and some of the major shopping centres around a table together to discuss how we're going to get through this. Now, it's not just...
Russell, can I just jump in there? When did you try and get this meeting?
So we spoke to the Shopping Centre Council about 10 days ago. And
you haven't had a confirmation?
No, and then again I spoke to the Shopping Centre Council yesterday and they called me this morning and I have been promised by Angus Nardi from the Shopping Centre Council that he will go and talk to his members and that looking towards brokering a meeting with retailers and with the heads of the shopping centres, because we need to have a discussion on this. This is not just only about retail rents, but we also need to discuss what would happen, say, as an example, if the government came down and closed shopping centres. What would happen then? So it's not just a discussion about retail rents. There's a whole raft of things we need to talk to the Shopping Centre Council about, and I've outlined that to Angus, and I'm very hopeful that in the next few days we'll be having a meeting with the SCCA and the ARA and some retailers and some shopping centre heads.
Yeah, and Michaelia Cash, is she your relevant minister at a Commonwealth level?
She certainly is on a number of issues, small business, and we also deal with some of the employment law issues with her as well. So,
Russell, why hasn't she convened a meeting? I mean, surely this is, you know, like... Greg Hunt and all the other ministers involved in this issue are underwater with the demands of their portfolios. I would have thought Michaelia Cash would have been had this issue front of mind. Well, firstly, can I say Industry Minister Karen Andrews held a round table last week. That was a very successful round table, and there will be another one this Thursday held by Minister Karen Andrews, and I will certainly bring up with her the issue around retail rents. As I said to you earlier, I'm taking an incredible amount of phone calls on this. It is a big issue. We do need to talk to both the government and to the shopping centres about this. You absolutely do, and you should have had a meeting yesterday. They should have had a meeting for you to sit at the table and help resolve these issues. I'll make some calls after the show, I can absolutely assure you. Russell Zimmerman, thanks very much for your time tonight. Thank you very much.